If you're going to make a movie about the early 1960s, late 1950s, you got to put this song in it.
Under the boardwalk, out of the sun. Under the boardwalk, we'll be having some fun.
Under the ski-doo, on the ski-ba-doo, under the ski-doo. It's Under the Boardwalk by the Drifters from the 1968 compilation album Golden Hits. It's also number 459 out of 500 on the Spotify original, The 500 with Josh Adam Myers. And guess what, y'all? I am Josh Adam Myers, the king of fleece. Thank you guys for tuning in to the only podcast that's going through Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums. If you're new to the podcast, since we've joined Spotify, welcome. You are officially all sergeants in the Fleece Army. And if you're wondering why I call you guys Fleece Army, it's because one day I spent $2,000 on just fleeces. It was like $19.99. I'm not proud of it, but, I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. Thank you to each and every one of you guys that came to the goddamn Comedy Jam 5-year anniversary party. Man, that was one of the best nights of my life. Thank you, Jim Jeffries. Thank you, Big J. Okerson. Thank you, Brad Williams, etc., etc. If you've never been to the goddamn Comedy Jam, check it out when it's on the road, or come here to Los Angeles when we do it at the Roxy. Thank you to all the people that are doing the Instagram stories. If you are listening to the 500, I want you to take a screenshot of how you're listening to it and tag me at Josh Adam Myers and then put a hashtag the 500 podcast. Give us that ad. Help us get the word out. Let us grow this audience. This is a fucking book club using the greatest music of all time. Join in. Show us. Tell us you don't like the record. I love that shit. That's what I want you guys to start doing. If you see the picture that I post of the guest, tell us what you think of the album underneath it, man. If you don't dig the album, fucking let us know. Not all of these are great. Most of them are. Not gonna lie, I fucking love pretty much every single one of them. And we've got a doozy of a record this week. Released in 1968, this is a compilation of hits and other songs put out by the American doo-wop R&B vocal group, The Drifters, between 1959 and 1964. Now, I'm going to try to simply and clearly give you a quick history lesson of who the Drifters are, because this vocal group has had the least stable lineup of any group I have ever heard about. The Drifters were started in 1953, so we're starting there, as a backup vocal group for singer Clyde McPhatter after he left Billy Ward and his Dominoes. And he was then replaced by Jackie Wilson. Are you confused yet? Because I kind of am. Now, they had some hits, but then a year later, Clyde left the Drifters and sold his future shares in the group to their manager, George Treadwell. Now, this not only screwed Clyde in the future, but also made the group a revolving door of singers because Treadwell didn't pay them shit. From 1954 to 1958, there were too many personnel changes to cover, plus another splintered off Drifters group put together by former members. In 1958, Treadwell fired the whole band and convinced the vocal group, the Five Crowns, to become the New Drifters. Atlantic Records handed production duties to Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, who had been hugely successful with the Coasters. This began the golden age of the Drifters. Now, just to put a quick spotlight on the Drifters on this compilation, they are Ben E. King, Johnny Lee Williams, Rudy Lewis, Johnny Moore, Charlie Thomas, Doc Green, Gene Pearson, Ellsbury Hobbs, that's a great name, Ellsbury, Tommy Evans, Johnny Terry, and guitarist Abdul Samad and Reggie Kimber. You think that's a lot? Well, in the Drifters' career, there have been over 60 members. But guess what? I only have one member here with me today, and I'm not talking about my Kaduki. It's my guest, Erik Griffin. You guys know him from I'm Dying Up Here on Showtime, from his comedy special, Americ and Warrior, his podcast, Riffin' with Griffin, and also playing Montez on Workaholics. Erik was the only person I could think of to do this record, because when he did the jam, he sang soul, and every song that he wanted to fucking sing was all soul, and I was like, this is the man. Let's get to the root of soul, and it's an incredible episode. Rate, review, and most importantly, subscribe to the 500 guys, and listen free on Spotify or anywhere you get your pods, but mostly on Spotify. Follow me at Josh Adam Myers on all social media. Email the podcast at 500podcast@gmail.com. And for all things 500, like the incredible mixtapes that our guests are making for everybody here, guys. If you didn't know that, all of our guests are making you mixtapes. We've got all the mixtapes for you guys at our website, 500podcast.com. So guess what? It's time to say the thing I say every week. Here we go! With number 459 out of 500 with Golden Hits by The Drifters. Erik Griffin, there's an Erik Griffin, an Erik Griffin, an Erik Griffin. It's Erik Griffin. There it is, dude. Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah, dude.
Erik Griffin. On this podcast.
Did you? So were you a fan of the Drifters before I asked you to do this?
I was aware of the Drifters. The Drifters is the kind of band that, like, you don't know who the Drifters are. And then you hear a song and you go, "That's the Drifters?"
Yes, dude. I had no
That's them.
I had no idea that all of these hits were by the same group.
I know. That's me too. Because as I was doing research for the podcast, I was listening to the songs and I was like, "Oh, this is great," But it's they have a very distinct sound. A lot of the songs actually sound exactly the same.
Yes,
but I guess that's just a sign of that era. Because
sure.
you can actually sing "Under the Boardwalk" on 3 of their songs.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Dude,
You know what I mean?
they're giving callbacks.
Yeah. They love that chord progression.
They're just like, it worked on "Under the Boardwalk." We'll do it with "Sand in My Shoes."
Yeah.
We'll do it on the wedding song. Just keep running this shit back. By listening to this record, my take was, I'm not saying I didn't think I was going to like it, but I was just like, I probably don't want to listen to Drifters. And then I put this on and I was just like, holy shit. This is the most Americana thing I have ever heard in my life. This is like the most American music standard of excellence, because everything on this record to me just sounded perfect. Yes, a lot of it was the same shit, but every song I just got into my heart, and as I was driving, it just put me in a better mood.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that I just think that the weird thing, because I'm not sure what's the year of. Do you know the year?
So this came out in '68. Well,
okay,
let's do
that's
this.
Interesting.
So let's do this. Our album is number 459 out of 500. It's the compilation album Golden Hits by the Drifters, released on 1968, produced by Bert Burns, Jerry Lieber, and Mike Stoller. 3 of the most Jewish names I've ever heard in my life, writing for some brothers. But I think this is their music from the late 50s up until 68.
Okay, so that's what I was looking at. Okay, so it's interesting because to me that's what you hear. Like, I think it's this album's caught between genres. So you hear them still trying to be a 50s doo-wop band. You hear them still trying to do that, just like the woo, all the things they're trying to do. But then they have this sort of like the musicality of it, like with that sort of calypso, like big band beats, and like just very vacation vibe.
Yeah,
but very like a big ballroom too at the same time. Like some of the music on the songs, I feel like they could be like, like you're dancing with a tux on and your girl's got a big gown and you're zipping through a like a ball or something. So it's amazing that they have that sort of like mix of genres right there. Like you could tell that they were coming through a transition with some of this music. You could see where they were going to go.
Yeah.
Like if they were like still making, I don't even know if they're still making music, but like I feel like if it was like 80s and 90s, they would have made the transition into that too. You know?
I think this was because this was a group that was just like it was like created like NSYNC. Do you know what I mean? Like, this wasn't like they were friends.
Oh, it was like making the band.
This was those producers, Bert Burns, Jerry Lieber, and Mike Stoller. These were the guys that like got together and basically formed it. They've had multiple lineup changes. So this is the Backstreet Boys. This is the Backstreet Boys of the late 50s, early 60s.
You know, that's interesting because then it feels like then here's some white Jewish guys who don't have the talent to perform. And they said, "Oh, let's get some people to like that." And this is like Menudo was the same kind
This
of thing.
is the 50s Menudo. This is
And so they got them to like, oh, so these are, and then, but anyway, you could hear the mix of genres though, because I thought that was kind of strange when I was listening to it. I was like, this sounds like a white doo-wop group, like one of those like barbershop quartet.
sure, yeah, like the Four Freshmen. That's
Yeah,
what my
yeah,
dad
yeah,
used
yeah.
to listen to.
I hear that, but at the same time, it's got this sort of soulful, and like I said, this like calypso sort of like, whatever that. There's a certain instrument that they play a lot that I can't tell what that is, but it's like I don't know. It's like a steel drum almost. You know what I mean? And that's what gives it that certain style, that certain flavor. I don't know. It was good. It was like it takes you back. It's easy listening for sure.
Well, you're into soul music though.
Yeah. But what I'm saying though is I heard that, but it wasn't quite there.
Sure.
It wasn't quite there. So it's almost like you hear it and you go, "Oh, here's some black guys singing like it's like as if the Drifters were remaking white people music." And they put some funk on it. You know what I'm saying? They put a little stank on it.
There's a little bit of stank.
There's a little, but not a lot.
There's a tiny bit.
And it's like, of course, they got that classic on there, Under the Boardwalk. I mean, that's the one that I think is like that's their song.
That surprisingly, that's not their biggest hit.
It's not their biggest hit.
Not their
What's their biggest hit? Is
Well,
it on this?
We'll get to
Is
that.
it on this?
It's on this. Yeah, of course. This is their golden hits. They're not
Yeah,
putting
but
like
Under
some
the
mediocre
Boardwalk-
shit on this.
It's their most well-known hit is Under the Boardwalk.
Or
There's no way-
what about fucking This Magic Moment?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I think Under the Boardwalk crosses a lot of boundaries. I think that, because Under the Boardwalk has been remade by different types of people many times. I've heard Under the Boardwalk with done and it's a way more soulful. It's just one of those songs. But This Magic Moment's great. But that's that sort of big ballroom like. You would see it on somebody, you get all the classics for 1995. This magic moment, it's like that's what that would be. But Under the Boardwalk is like it stands up today.
I feel like that compilation CD you were just talking about would just be this CD. Like that's
I know,
every
right?
track that's on this
Yeah,
would
it
be
is-
that.
it is one of those.
All right, let's dive into the record, okay? So it opens up with "There Goes My Baby." Peter, play a little bit of that for me.
There goes my baby, moving on down the line. Wonder where.
This was released in 1959 with Ben E. King on lead vocals. This went to number 2 on the charts. Now, Lieber and Stoller were the first producers who decided to enhance the emotional impact of R&B music by having an orchestra backing with string accompaniment. So they were changing the game. So this song kicked off soul music for the 60s and 70s and even today.
By the way, do you have enough incense, or should we burn some more?
I know it smells like.
my throat is on fire right now. It's hot as fuck in here, and you know what I mean? Like I don't understand. All we're missing is a crystal ball on this table to
They're right there.
we're gonna call our
crystals are right
yeah.
there.
Are we calling our ancestors? Like
I'm-
what are you doing in here?
Hey man, I'm sorry that I'm
my
trying
God.
to get present. And
is this what you need to get present?
You have no idea what
You
I
have
need
no
to
idea.
get.
It's like this is so much.
There goes my baby. I feel like I can hear the music of the 60s and 70s and even later coming from this song.
That's
You know
what
what I
I'm
mean?
saying. I
I
agree.
definitely hear that. Now, what was the single event that set you off on the course that led you to where you are today?
Oh, good grief. It's probably my buddy of mine. We would go to open mics together a lot, and it got to a point where he didn't really want to do it anymore. But I needed the crutch of my friend going to open mics, and then he just like told me off one day. If you wanted to comedy, go do it. You don't need me to do it. You know what I mean? And
Wait, ending the friendship?
No,
or
no,
just,
no, no,
Or he's just
just
trying
like-
to put the fire under your ass?
yeah. So the next day I went by myself, and then that was like the thing. It was like, oh, it changed my whole perspective. So that launched me into like attacking this business the way I have.
And so when was that? How long ago was that?
Oh man, that was like 2003.
2003?
Yeah.
So what did you do to assimilate after you didn't have your friend? Was that a hard transition?
No,
to
it was
kind of-
actually great because now you don't have to wait for anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, why? What am I doing? What am I doing waiting for him to go up? Or like, you know what I mean? Let me just get the fuck out of here. You
Was
know
he
what I mean?
funny?
Yeah. He was. He just was going through stuff in his life that he couldn't focus on comedy the way I wanted to.
What is he doing now?
He's not doing comedy anymore.
He's not doing comedy?
No.
I love that you're not telling me like he's doing gay porn or something.
No,
it's like
he got his own.
He's in jail. He molested a whole town. It was this whole thing.
No.
And we don't speak about him anymore. All right, this goes into the second song. If You Cry, True Love, True Love. I just wish I would have known this song when I used to DJ weddings because I would have played the shit out of this. Play a little bit of it. I want a wedding DJ to this real quick. All right, doesn't the bride look stunning? And the groom just looks stunned. All right, table 5, hit the buffet. No, dude, I won't play Who Let the Dogs Out. The bride and groom made a goddamn playlist. You're going to bump my table? You're going to bump my table. You're going to fight me at your cousin's wedding. All right, table 7, hit the buffet. Right?
So you would fight with people on mic?
Dude, I got not on mic. That was supposed to be all off mic, but dude, when I used to DJ weddings, the worst thing they ever did was say, while you're here, your family, drink, eat, be merry. And I didn't really eat or be merry. I just drank. Funny thing about this is when another change-up happened. The Drifters manager, George Treadwell, got into an argument with the Five Crowns' previous manager, Lover Patterson, who still had Benny King under contract. When Patterson blocked King from touring with the Drifters, the lead vocals on tour were sung by Charlie Thomas and Johnny Williams, who sang lead on this recording. But when the tour passed Williams' hometown in Mobile, Alabama, he quit the group and stayed. Well, I guess that sucks for him.
And it does kind of suck to know that they aren't they're not really a group.
Yeah, they're not. That's a kind of
sucky thing.
I bet some of them were friends. I bet they were like, hey, I want to that I'm in this group. Why don't we bring in my friend? I mean, it had to happen like that, but it's just.
I know, but certain groups, even some of the boy bands that we know, they have a certain sound, but the sound also is specific to certain people's voices. So then, to know that they have that these guys basically have generic voices that they're just singing parts, and then the strings and the instruments have their own thing that I don't know. That's I don't know. It's a little disappointing. But,
no, I get it.
It's still great. I mean, the guys, they should be proud. They made some great songs.
They made some great songs.
The writers,
and the writers are rich as fuck.
Yeah, I can
the
imagine.
Guys that sang it, probably not. All right. Well, we just set the tone for the rest of the podcast. All right. Going on to the next one, and this one is straight out of Dirty Dancing. It's called Dance With Me. I love this chorus so much. Play 42 seconds in, brother.
Put your lips to mine while the music blends. We're no longer strangers.
Yeah, this is not surprising that it's very very dancey.
Very dancey. Yeah. So this is Benny King on lead vocals, and this 1959 release uses a dance to close the deal with a partner. I love that. So this whole thing is I'm going to dance you into bed with me. So I can just imagine what it's like. It's like, dude, I've been trying to fuck Sheila for the last 3 months. I've done the mashed potato in front of her. I've done the monkey. The fuck am I supposed to do? I was letting my backbone slip for 2 hours. She didn't give me nothing. What I do love about this song is what I said at the beginning. I think the string arrangements are so lovely.
The whole album has a lot of that. It's great.
Incredible. What do you think is the difference between picking up a girl in the 1950s versus 2019?
You probably don't have to talk to her family. You don't really have to get permission. You just, imagine it's not like you can, if I had to call someone, you're not swiping right. You have to actually call their house. She lives with her family. You have to go through hi, Mrs. Whoever, this is Eric. And I was wondering if, Courtney's home, and then everybody's like, Courtney, you got a phone call. And then everybody's everybody's waiting, and she's in the kitchen.
She has to run downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he called, Eric called.
Hi, and then everybody's listening and watching, so there's no privacy. So it's probably
then
different.
She goes, okay, all right, bye. Hangs up the phone and turns around, and everybody's like, what did he say?
So what did he say?
She's like, he doesn't have syphilis. Yeah.
And the mom's like, it's a little early for you to be having phone calls.
Did you? I kind of miss those days, though, man. I miss when...
Are you that old?
I'm 30, 39. I look 79. But I do miss, the whole meeting a girl, getting her number, writing it down on that piece of paper, and that paper
looking for a pen. And
yeah, man. There was something... we had to work for going out with a girl a long time ago. And now it's like you literally can set up a date while taking a shit and not even have met the girl.
Yeah, and learning like information that you kind of want to ask. You want to ask her on the date.
Yeah.
And now you're just reading this information instead of just being like, hey, so, how tall are you? Or, you know what I mean? Like, how, the small talk's been taken away. So now you got to go in. You already have a dossier on somebody.
Oh, my God.
It's like, I'm surprised on a date, go, so from your Tinder profile, it says that you have 2 dogs. And, it's like, come on, let me find out some shit, right?
Do you internet date? Have you?
Oh, yeah.
I just have no luck with that because it's like I try to do exactly what you were saying is I don't want to like learn about them via text, so I just go, hey, let's just want to meet for coffee during the day at a normal time.
Keep doing that because the person that says yes is the person that you want to go out with.
100%.
Just keep doing that. These ones that are like, first of all, people are cowards. You know what I mean? They're cowards, and then like they're on their phone. Like with this like superficial communication, like women that don't want to like actually talk, right? Like hey, let's talk. You want FaceTime? You want to talk? Let's like actually. They're like, what? They don't want to do that. Then what are you talking to me for?
Yeah.
Like what is this? Get out of my face. So back then it was more of a like you had to actually take action.
All right, that goes into this magic moment. Now, this is another Benny King lead and one of the most popular songs written by Doc Pomus and Mort Schumann, and it's a perfect song.
Whiz.
Yeah, I know it's very Jewish.
It's like Jumanji over there in this stuff.
Holy shit.
Totally different movie, by the way. Jumanji is a completely different Jumanji.
It's the only Jumanji I've ever seen. Everything about this song, though, is great. The harmonies, Ben's voice, the lyrics, the music, just fantastic. Mm-hmm. This is literally from every 50s movie, and you can see it. You can see this in every scene. It's just like, and that was the moment I saw Sally.
This magic moment, while your lips are close to mine, will last forever.
This is an incredible song. When it was released in 1960, it spent 11 weeks in the top 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How far did it get? Did it get to number 1?
I don't know. It doesn't say that, but I just think this is a perfect song.
You think this is their most popular song?
I think this is up there. It's not their most popular song. We have their most popular song coming up. That's Save the Last Dance. I do think this is just a perfect song. Like I love the violin arpeggios during the intro. It almost sounds like a flashback from like a dream sequence. It's like I said, it's just you hear the song, it takes you back to a different time.
Yes.
Just a time
it's just beautiful. It's beautiful music.
Just
it really is.
Beautiful music.
Yeah, like the instruments.
Yeah.
I really that's what I'm saying. I love the blend of the instruments, the strings with their voices like that, because they're still in there. They're still harmonizing a little. They're still in there. I just like all that on all their songs.
Yeah. So Eric, you've performed stand-up in the biggest venues in the world and on TV, on some of the biggest networks. What is the most magic moment you've experienced?
My magic moment?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good one. What's a good magic moment? I probably think it was like the first time that I knew I was performing on TV for the first time, and it was the Playboy Channel.
Well, you were on Foursome?
No, it was I forgot the name of the show, but it was like a late night talk show for Playboy chicks and porn stars, and then I was the comedian.
Was it that Allison Lohman show?
No, I forgot what it was called. It was like Night Shift or Night Calls or something like that. It was like one of those. But I just knew I was on TV, so I was like, this is great,
And that was a moment that just, like, did it start a bunch of stuff, or what did it do?
No, it's just like, it just let me know. It made me feel like, I could do it. This is just a start. It's slimy, but there'll be other things, and sure enough.
Probably the most magical moment I've had was when I went to go see the Impractical Jokers. I was hanging out with them. I just done their cruise, and we were side stage, and the warm-up was up. It was Cypher Sounds, and Cypher was like warming up 15,000 people at Madison Square Garden. And I'm side stage, and he's giving like shout-outs to people that are by the side, and they're trying to kill time. And he goes, yo, give it up for Josh Adam Myers and Jeremiah Watkins from the goddamn Comedy Jam. And he points at us, and we're like, yo. And at that moment, Sal looks at us and goes, hey, man, we've got like 10 minutes to spare. You guys want to go up there and be funny?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, are you serious? And he goes, yeah. And I just ran up to the steps. Of course, man. And I remember I looked back at Jeremiah. I'm like, come on, man. And he's just like pale white, moving so slow. And we went up there for like 10 minutes. And it was like, by having no time to process it and get nervous from it, it was just like the most fun experience of my life. And I think that was one of the times. It's just that I realized that anything's possible in this profession.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's like we are in a career that is just all magic moments for what we get to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? All right, Save the Last Dance for me. Now this is their biggest hit ever.
Is it?
This Benny
the top seller?
Yep. This Benny King sung release was originally the B-side of Nobody But Me, but American Bandstand host Dick Clark thought it was a stronger song, and he was right. Play the intro.
You can dance every dance with the guy who gives you the eye, let him hold you tight.
I mean, I just feel that everywhere. That's just perfect.
But again, that's the same exact music as Under the Boardwalk.
I'm not.
It literally is that moment right there is when you're supposed to go Under the Boardwalk.
But I'm not going to disagree with you. But I still think it's fucking incredible, man. They're giving callbacks. They're definitely giving callbacks. They're definitely writing in their genre. But I mean, these songs are just 2.5 minutes of gold. This is another Mort Schumann and Doc Pomus song, but the story behind it is particularly inspired. I do love this story. Doc Pomus wrote this on the day of his wedding to Willie Burke, a Broadway actress and dancer. As he had had polio and was confined to either a wheelchair or crutches, he had to watch other men dance with his wife.
Wow.
This was his reminder to her that he'd be taking her home. I mean, that's just beautiful. That melts my heart. That is just a beautiful, beautiful way to get something like this to come out. What limitations of yours have you used to your advantage?
I'm funny looking, so there it is. I'm not traditionally handsome, so I use my awkward funniness. Big guy, silly face, glasses, mustache, nose. You know, I use it to my advantage.
I think you're gorgeous.
You know what I mean. You know, I'm not like ooh, who's that? You know?
I don't know.
But
Maybe.
you have to but when I sit down and talk to you, you know, then you're going to like me, you know? So I just use all that as, humor is disarming and, you know, it could be charming and, you know, you just, you know, carry yourself with confidence. But so I've always used that to my advantage.
No, I dig that. All right, the next song, I Count the Tears. This was the last Benny King song sung on this record. I think it's a good song. Really nothing special. So let's go on to Some Kind of Wonderful. The note that is about to be sung here is my favorite part of this entire record. Play it, Peter.
I know I can't express this feeling of tenderness. There's so much I want to say.
I mean, that's just fantastic. Released in 1961, this is the first of 3 songs with lead vocals by Rudy Lewis and was written by the then husband and wife team of Jerry Golphin and Carole King.
How weird is that? How weird is that this not only is this group, I don't know what to say about it right now because it's kind of weird because it's kind of like different writers, you know, stepped in.
Well, that's Britney Spears.
And made it their own.
But what are you talking about, dude? Britney Spears, fucking the NSYNC, Justin Timberlake, all of the none of them write their music. None of them do.
No, I'm sure that. Yeah, but
like Britney Spears gets her writing credit when she's like, "Ha!" I added that part. The "ha."
Yeah, but it's like there's still. But see, that's not a good example. I wouldn't use them as a good example. This is like, you know, that's not the kind of musicality and stuff that these people have. But it just seems like people just stepped in and wrote songs that are already like the songs that they already have, and then, you know, and then with a different singer, but still under the Drifters umbrella. That's just kind of weird to me.
I suppose so, but at the same time, it's just that's like these people built a group, they gave them the music, and
I know that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of I'm saying it's like it'd be one thing if like you had to like here's these producers who created this group because they wanted to get their music out, right? So they do that, but then it turns into where it's like other writers can come in and give their music to this group. And then, so what I'm saying is it all comes across like it's all the Drifters. But turns out that it's just this hodgepodge of a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of singers, a lot of different people, even and then they under this particular sound, because it's not even like it's like, oh, this is quintessential Drifters. It's like everybody that came in kind of was like, oh, I want to write a song like that. It'd be like if you like went to Bon Jovi and at the height and were like, oh man, I got a song just like that. Your song you do, here it is, listen to it, and they're like, oh, this is just like our song. We'll sing this one too. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not gonna say every band does it, but there's a lot of bands that do that. And it's a lot of these people like they.
I guess you wouldn't find that out unless you were doing a show like this and you were like, delving into it and being like, oh, well, here's a new lead singer and here's this.
You would be not just as far as writing. It's every record seems to, not every record, but a lot of the records seem to have people that wrote for them. Especially in this era of music, it was just the way that it was. It was like
it's strange to hear.
I mean, you saw That Thing You Do. Remember That Thing You Do? Remember the movie? So they write the song That Thing You Do, and then they go to the recording studio, and the guy's like, "Cool, you're under contract. Here's your new album.
Right.
All the music's written for you.
Yeah.
You're still the band." We're pumping these hits in. All right, then we get to probably your favorite on this album, Up on the Roof. So this came out in 1960.
Is it?
Well, didn't you say that was like
Under the Boardwalk?
Under the Boardwalk. God, they got so many. They're up on something, they're down on another.
I know.
Sideways
they're under
in a
things.
car.
They're on something. They're going between things.
You were right. That guy was like, all right, we put Up on the Roof. Where we going to be? Downtown.
Yeah.
Let's go downtown.
Downtown. That's their song too, right?
Yeah, dude, it's coming out.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, it's on Broadway. It's not downtown. It's the same shit.
On Broadway.
All right, Up on the Roof. This came out in 1962. It became a huge hit in 1963, and I think this is a perfect song. Peter, play a little bit of it for me, bud.
Let me tell you now, when I come home feeling tired and weak, I go up where the air is fresh and sweet. On the roof.
Yeah, it's a very good song.
It's a fucking perfect song. This got into my soul. Now, this was also a big hit in 1962 in the UK for Kenny Lynch, one of only a few black singers in British pop music. Up on the Roof was another Jerry Goffin and Carole King hit. I love that Carole King wrote for the Drifters because I love her music so much. King had the tune and told Goffin to write about a secret place like a safe haven. He took his inspiration from the New York City rooftop scenes from his favorite movie musical, West Side Story. He has said these are his favorite lyrics that he's ever written. Now, you've already commented that my apartment smells like Buddha's butthole, and I got crystals,
yes, ridiculous.
and shit like that. Where is your place to help you find peace?
God.
I like the dog park. I'm a dog park guy.
Oh.
I go there every morning, and it's
good for you.
it sets my mood for the day watching the dog runs.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a place. I mean, maybe I need to find a place like that. Because for me, I like to like lose myself in playing video games, but I think it's like for me, it's probably, that moment right before you're walking on stage. Just like being at the comedy club and that's where I feel the most creative.
That's, you know what? That's funny. It's like I've never thought about that as being a place, a peaceful place before I go on stage, because I have so many emotions that are going through me, which is the guy before me just killed, or like there's one person in the audience I want to impress, or whatever it is, and it's hard to settle down. Now I can, but I remember at the beginning and for the first like 8 years of stand up, it was just that there was that moment of the unknown.
Yeah.
So do you like the unknown?
Mm-hmm. That's the favorite thing about doing stand-up sometimes. It's just like how it's going to be completely different every time.
Even when you try to plan it to be the same thing, if you're like, well, I'm just going to run this set that I'm getting ready to tape.
It doesn't matter because
like,
it's just different. It's always different. It's like an Arnold Palmer. You know what I mean? the mix is always going to be a little off.
That may be my favorite analogy of all time, dude. Because I've never had an Arnold Palmer that's fucking the same, dude.
That's why I like ordering them, because occasionally you're going to be like, ooh, nice ratio. Yeah, this is good.
This one little
and they'll never do it again. You know what I mean? You make it the same way. They're like, sorry.
A little too much tea in this one.
Yeah.
Oh, would you use green tea?
Yeah.
You use green tea. All right. Carole King recorded a solo version of this song for her 1970 album Writer with James Taylor on guitar. I love James Taylor.
See, now, this is the thing that is gone from the music business, which I think should come back, because that's an era where the writers got more credit than the artist.
Yeah, this is not
this is not an artist. This is not a writer-friendly world right now, because back then, it could be like, I wrote a song, and then like it could be like, yeah, I'm gonna have like 5 different artists record my song.
Do you like that, or are you against that?
No, I think it's fine. It's just, but back then it was like somewhat of a racial component too. You know what I mean? It's like, let's take a really good black song and give it to somebody white, and then they'll they'll take it, and everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, this is so good.
No, you're gonna love this next song then. All right, you're good, because this is a good fact. All right, on Broadway. So I think this is the closest song that came to rock and roll on this record. Play a little bit for me, Peter.
They say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. On Broadway.
It's the guitar strum. That's how I'm saying this is rock and roll. It's just that ga-junk, ga-junk. So this was written by another prolific married couple, Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil. Originally wrote this as an upbeat shuffle for a girl group about a girl coming to New York and dreaming of Broadway and stardom. It was recorded first by the Cookies in '62 and released first by the Crystals. Now, when Mann and Weil found out that Lieber and Stoller had booked studio time for the Drifters for the following day and were a song short, they forwarded On Broadway. Lieber and Stoller liked it, but to make the song work for the Drifters, the four held an overnight brainstorming session. They slowed it down, changed the groove, made it bluesier, and rewrote the optimistic lyrics to be about hard times on Broadway. Once again, exactly how you would expect Jews to write for black people is to change it. Just to be like, hey, Lieber, we got that Schwarzer vocal group coming back. We got to add some more Spilkes to the Tuchus. Like, you can just imagine them being like, but no, can we make it more black? Can we make it more black? Have you ever been asked to be more black?
Yeah. Well, at a commercial audition many years ago.
Tell me about it.
Well, it was just like, I remember it was me and this guy. I forgot what the product was, but like the guy that went with me, the guy that I went in with, I just met him in the lobby. Where they bring 2 people in at a time.
Commercial auditions are the worst.
And this guy was like this sort of like, he was a black guy, but he was like Carlton from Fresh Prince black guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Preppy black guy.
Very preppy.
So then like we do the read, and then the guy's like, he goes, I like that, guys. That was good, but can you guys, just put some more on it, put some street on it. And he's saying, and so I just said it for him. I was like, black? He was like, yeah, y'all got a bowl of weed in front of you, and you just like chilling.
He's like, you got a bowl of weed, you're decked out in Raiders gear.
Yeah, it was just so, it was like very much like,
Ice Cube is rolling a blunt.
This really quirky white guy, and then and then we did the audition again, and this guy, he was just like, so like, hey, bro, and I was like, we're not gonna get this.
What about now though? Like now,
no.
So it's just once do you feel like that Hollywood only does that of the younger beginning actors when you're first?
I think so, but Hollywood is there has to be some discrimination in Hollywood, because if you're looking for a particular part, if like you write a role and in your mind this guy's white, then you're saying, you're calling in white people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the guy's name is Duran,
you're calling in white people.
Welcome to Hollywood. So it's just, it's the nature of the beast.
It is. All right, Under the Boardwalk. On these last 3 songs, Burt Burns took over as producer for Lieber and Stoller. And who the fuck names their kid Burt Burns? That is a horrible fucking name. The song was written by Kenny Young and Arthur Resnick as a follow-up to Up on the Roof, and even references that song in this opening line, which is basically everything you've been saying, Eric. So you are on the pulse of this album. Now, I got to tell you this because this shit is insane. This is something that blew my mind. So the band were all ready to record it on May 21st, 1964, with Rudy Lewis once again singing lead. But the night before, he died of a heroin overdose.
Wow.
So rather, this is so bad. So rather than forfeit the studio session, they quickly rehired Johnny Moore, who had been the Drifters' lead singer in the 50s before he was drafted into the Army. He is the lead singer on this and the last 2 songs on the album.
Whew. Imagine getting that call. Hey, lead singer died. Can you get to the studio? You know?
Well, so I thought Rudy was going to sing it. Yeah, he did.
Rudy did.
Rudy did.
Guess what?
So you're going to be singing. Also, stay away from the heroin on Spring Street. I'm just going to let you know right now, shit is bad. And Under the Boardwalk was recorded and released twice for the single and the album with a few noticeable changes. This version is a composite of the 2 separate recordings using We'll Be Making Love in the first 2 choruses and We'll Be Falling in Love in the third. Where's the strangest place you ever made love?
Oh, God.
Mine would be in the bathroom of Pelican Pete's. In the bathroom of Pelican Pete's. It was a sports bar.
Ew, you're disgusting.
It was during the Redskins versus the Carolina Panthers when Stephen Davis played for the Redskins.
That's terrible. For me, it was probably a car with like a train going by.
You were running train.
No,
I don't
know. Can we play Under the Boardwalk now, please?
Under the boardwalk, down by the sea, yeah, on a blanket with my baby.
I was surprised at this version of the song.
How so?
Because this version of the song is like just the lead vocalist. But like normally Under the Boardwalk is a lot of harmony and
it was when you get
other
to the chorus.
voice. I know, but even I've just heard many versions of this song where right up top that's what's going on.
I not saying that one doesn't exist. This is the only one that I really know by it.
Oh.
And it's just the
other ones exist, man.
I mean,
they're out there. That song's been recorded and re-recorded thousands of times.
It's an American classic, man. It's an American classic.
To me, their most famous song.
All right, I've got Sand in My Shoes. Funny that you mentioned, we're talking about them doing callbacks. Similarly to how they made Under the Boardwalk, sort of a sequel to Up on the Roof, this Young and Resnick song is literally a sequel to Under the Boardwalk. It wistfully recalls everything that happened in that song and even uses one of its biggest hooks. Play 58 seconds in.
How we fell in love down by the sea comes back to me with the sand in my shoes.
I mean, they didn't even try to hide it. They just fucking took us there.
Yeah, so listening to the album, that's why I was like, oh, there's like 6 songs that sound exactly the same as 5 other songs.
They do.
You know what I mean?
But they're fucking good.
Yeah, it's great stuff, though.
Saturday Night at the Movies. I really like the song.
Down by the sea.
Saturday Night at the Movies. I did like this one, man. This actually seemed a little bit different from all the rest.
Yeah.
Along with the last 2, this Man and Well song from 1964 really highlights how amazing Johnny Moore's vocals are here. He might have been the Drifters' best singer, in my opinion. When I listened to this, I was not only reminded about how a formal experience going to the movies was for everyone, but how that was one of the only places that you could try and get a hand job in a popcorn box. Why did people think that? For some reason that you can, is that really going down, like hand jobs in the movies?
Yeah, you put a hole in the popcorn, and I've never done anything like that.
Shit, I'm about to come. Give me that empty box of Bunch of Crunch.
I've gotten a hand job in the movies.
Really?
The bad part about it is the cleanup.
That's what I'm saying. Where do you put it?
Well, I remember. Well, that's not.
Yeah, dump out those Junior Mints. Give me that box.
That's why you got to get napkins.
Oh, that's why everybody's like, I'm gonna take about 7 napkins for this regular size popcorn.
7 movie napkins is like 1 napkin. You got to get you know what I mean? They're not made to last. It's like that club toilet paper.
They're horrible napkins. Dude, telling it like it is, Eric. You want to do some facts?
Go ahead.
And for the facts, here are the facts and the facts. The producers and songwriters Lieber and Stoller met in 1950, sharing a love of the blues and boogie woogie. They started writing songs for black artists, including Hound Dog for Willie Mae Big Mama Thornton in 1952.
Oh.
Her version came out in 53 and was adopted by several groups. Now, in 1956, Stoller was on his way home from Europe aboard the infamous Andrea Doria when it was hit by another ship, capsized, and sank, killing 46 passengers.
Shit.
Rescued by a lifeboat, Stoller arrived back in New York to Lieber yelling to him from the dock, "We've got a smash hit." Stoller said, "You mean Big Mama Thornton's record?" And Lieber said, "No, some white kid named Elvis Presley." Elvis had heard Hound Dog played by a cover band in Vegas Lounge. Lieber and Stoller went on to write 20 of Elvis's hits like Jailhouse Rock, as well as huge records for other artists, including Stand By Me for Benny King, Is That All There Is by Peggy Lee, and Love Potion No. 9 for the Clovers. I think that is just incredible, man. To have, like, to literally be in such a traumatic event. And literally, as you're getting back to land, if the guy was really like, dude, because that's how every movie in the 1950s, the guy's waiting there we got a number 1 hit, boss. So we got a hit. And it's just to go from something so tragic and to have something good. Have you ever had anything like that happen to you where something tragic happened and something good then comes from that?
I don't know. I just feel like you survive. We're designed to survive. And if you allow yourself, I think one of my good friends had died. And it just reminded me that, like, I'm claiming too many friends. And so let me just focus in on the ones that, shorten my circle. That's what it taught me.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I was in that car accident years ago and having Angelo die and being able to, remember the things that he said to me. He was the guy that said to me, you need to do something with music as well. It's like, figure out a way to combine comedy and music. And I don't know if I do this. I don't know if I do the goddamn comedy jam.
Right.
If Ange doesn't die, I mean, it might have never happened. I mean, and by doing these two things that have really, taken my career to another level, I mean, it's all just to honor him. So any way I could do that is incredible. In 1972, after losing popularity in America and leaving Atlantic Records, the Drifters moved to England. They had a bunch of hits on the UK charts. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, when there's...
A lot of people do that. That's very Backstreet Boysy.
Very Backstreet Boys, yeah.
But they started in Europe, were huge, and then came to America.
Really?
Yeah.
They're boy bands are such an American thing, but now they're like...
Not really.
Really?
They're not just an American thing. The biggest boy band of all time was not American.
Who were they? K-pop?
Imagine that he doesn't know.
Wait, hold on. Let me guess. Boy band?
Yeah. The biggest boy band of all time was not American.
It's not Menudo.
This guy's insane. The Beatles.
Beatles aren't a boy band.
Yes, they are.
No, they weren't. They weren't formed like that. Not at all.
They were a boy band.
They were a band of boys, but they're not a boy band.
They were a boy.
They didn't. Nobody formed them. They formed it themselves.
That's not the prerequisite to be a boy band.
Yes, that is.
No, it is not.
All right.
A boy band is you have a totally different definition. A boy band is a bunch of hunky guys. Okay.
You think Ringo's hunky? What the fuck is wrong with you?
There's always one ugly one, and he usually starts the band. Like in NSYNC, Chris Patrick guy, he started in NSYNC. So he got his, better looking, musical.
You are so far. Beatles are not a boy band. No, they are not. They're the biggest band of all time. They're not a boy band.
Yeah, they are. All the stuff that happened to the Beatles, when they came over here, all that attention, that's boy bandish. That's
because there's
that was the original of that.
That's because there's like 2 channels on television. That's all you watch. So everybody watched El Sullivan.
Yeah, they were a boy band.
They were not a boy band.
And they stole a lot of music.
I'm not gonna say that they didn't do that, but I mean, but they're definitely not a boy band.
Yeah, we just have a different definition of boy band.
We do, but Ringo is definitely the ugliest one in the band. We can agree on that. Okay,
agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Consensus is
because of
ugliest Beatle. Go.
it's always Ringo. Nobody's ever going to say George or Paul or John. They're all good looking. All right. Because of the ridiculous amount of member turnover through the years, there were a lot of groups performing under the Drifters name.
I'm saying it's weird. They're like Blue Man Group.
Oh, yeah, dude. They're the Blue Man Group.
Yeah.
Most had a few former singers, but eventually some didn't even have one of the 60 actual members.
60?
Yeah, I know, dude. There were 60. You should see the list when you go to the Wikipedia page of how many people were in the Drifters. It is fucking. It's 60. It's a lot.
Very
60's
weird. It really changes like what really makes a band a band. You know what I'm saying? Like what makes them who they are. You know, the fact that because imagine like we were talking about the Beatles. Imagine if like you could just interchange people. You know what I mean? Like imagine if the Beatles had 60 members. I mean, it's crazy, right? So I don't know. It's just a very fascinating.
Well, if the Beatles were a boy band,
which they are,
which they're not, because if they were, then somebody else would have just stepped in and taken over the Beatles, because the Beatles were only together for 7 years. So at their most popular, they all stopped. And if it was a boy band, guess what would have happened?
No,
it would have been Frank, Tony, Jim, and Sam.
They haven't replaced. They never replaced anybody in NSYNC. They never replaced anybody in the Backstreet Boys.
But you could take out 4 of the members of NSYNC.
You couldn't. They have a specific sound. JC Chazé. And
you're the first person that said that name in 8 years.
JC Chazé and Justin Timberlake had a very distinct sound, and that quintessential NSYNC is those two voices.
Dirty pop.
Yeah.
Sick and tired of
he picks dirty pop.
Yeah, dude, that's the one that I played the most.
And the Backstreet Boys also have a very distinct sound. Nick Carter and AJ, which you look very much like and sound like, okay, that's the Backstreet Boys.
I'm taking that as a compliment because he's a good-looking man.
Well, you know, you would be Ringo, you know. No, what I'm saying is like they have a very distinct sound. I would say more like 98 Degrees was more of a band that you could interchange.
Who does that song? Whatever I said, whatever I do, you couldn't cover. I just want it back from you. Want you back. Want you back. That's a British boy band called
O-Town.
Take That.
Was another group.
O-Town was My Liquid Dreams.
See, I don't even.
Come on, girl, with my liquid dreams.
See,
Give me another one. Give me another one. This is fun.
I couldn't even, if my life depended on it.
Come on, keep going.
Would I be able to pick an O-Town?
Give me another song. Give me another band. Give me another boy band. I'll sing
another boy band. I don't know. I think something that like is playing an instrument mean that you're not part of a boy band. That's the question.
Well, the Beatles are not a boy band. I mean that. Eric. I mean
for sure a boy band. They were the first original boy band.
They were a band of boys, but they were not a boy band.
Yes, they had the fanfare. It was all about sex and selling them.
They weren't like an industry created thing. They got together. They played.
No,
in small
what are you
clubs.
talking about? Not every band that's considered a boy band is put together like that.
I just think it's British.
That's
rock and roll.
That's not that's what you're. That's your definition.
That's what.
That's
I
not
think,
my definition.
But I think that's the majority.
No,
I do.
So.
I listen. If you're gonna say, are they a boy band in the sense that they're a band of boys?
Yeah.
Yes, but they're more of a band of brothers.
Ugh.
JC Chazé didn't give a fuck about Lance Bass.
Yeah.
Think he cared about him? Because guess
They're
what?
still friends.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Are they?
Yeah.
Call them right now. Let's find out.
I know them.
Let's see if they're Facebook friends.
But getting back on topic, it's interesting how the Drifters it's so interchangeable.
For sure.
You could have 60 people do it.
I know, and you know what the funny thing is? Most people won't even fucking notice.
I was about to say, that was one of the things I was going to say is I didn't notice any differences. And all the songs we've listened right now, it's hard to notice any differences.
So this, along with other examples led by former Sha-Na-Na member John Bowser Bauman.
Sha-Na-Na-Na, Sha-Na-Na-Na,
they had him co-author the legislation for the Truth in Music Advertising Bill.
Really?
The bill was created to protect legacy musicians from having their market diluted by imposter acts using their band name or brand name. Band name.
But that's weird because isn't this this whole band feels like an imposter.
But this is what I'm saying,
right?
Is it came from this years later. And so far, this law has been enacted in 34 of the 50 states. Where do you hope to see yourself in 20 years?
Well, I hope I'm still working, but I'm working because I want to, not because I have to.
Yeah. You want to go out like Gene Hackman right at the end, do 7 quick movies, and then fucking hibernate forever?
Yeah.
That's why he was in fucking...
Grow a beard like Letterman?
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, I already feel like I'm I love this, man. The fact that I got to sit down and talk to you about what a boy band means and get paid for it is the greatest fucking dream of my life, man.
Well, we just have different definitions of a boy band. And I think that everything that happened to them, if there was TRL right now, back then, they would be on TRL. They would,
Fuck yeah, but they do. But Eminem went on. That was the #1 show.
I know,
TRL.
but they would got the same kind of attention that, like, when you're a band like that, when you're like, it's all about these guys. They're how is One Direction any different from the Beatles?
How is it One Direction different from the Beatles?
Mm-hmm.
The Beatles weren't formulated in
Oh
a
my God,
lab.
here they go.
They were not.
This
though,
is your
man.
whole formulation. How do you know?
Because I've watched every documentary and read like 20 books on them, bro.
Oh my God.
Dude, I'm friends with Sean Lennon, John Lennon's son, and like he's told me they're not a boy band. It's the first thing he said to me.
That's what
First thing he said to me, he goes, "Hey man, by the way, Beatles weren't a boy band. All right, so you want to go hit Swingler's Diner right now?" And I was like, "All right, let's go."
Okay, we're gonna agree to disagree.
Yeah, but I love the fact that I even had a disagreement with you. This is so great. Thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Oh, that's all we got?
Oh wait, no. Final thoughts. What are your final thoughts on the record?
My final thoughts are like this theme that we've been talking about the whole time. It's like I realize now that this is the last of an era where it was more about the producers and writers. It was very much about that, and then them getting their music out through this, this like platform, where you had the singers and musicians play a certain style in a certain genre, and everybody could do it and sing it and play it. So you can have 60 people and different, bands and different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it'd be like, it's just so different in other areas. Like if you think of a band like Van Halen, you got Eddie Van Halen on guitar. You're not replacing, you know what I'm saying?
You can't replace Eddie Van
Halen. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, I get it.
Like but like with the Drifters, it feels like, I feel like we could be the Drifters right now.
5, 6, 7. I'm really glad you had this opinion on it, because that was definitely something that I never even thought about taking that angle with.
Yeah.
So it was really a good perspective on this record, dude.
Yeah, but by the way, great record. It is great music. It's fun music. It's it's bubblegum sometimes, because of the fact that like when you listen to if you listen to it in one sit down, you're gonna be like, oh, there's like 5 songs that sound the same, you know.
But if you space it out over like a
great.
week, you're like,
this is great. Yeah, this is fantastic.
I'm going sideways.
Out by the sea.
I'm perpendicular. It was a rhombus.
I know.
All right, I can keep riffing. Eric, this is great. Thank you, brother. This is great. Under the ski-doo, ski-ba Erik Griffin under ski-doo. For all things Eric, guys, go to his website, ericgriffin.com, and you can find him on all social media at Erik Griffin. Listen to his podcast, Riffin' with Griffin, everywhere you get your pods each week. I'll be posting Eric's Spotify mixtape so you can find out the musical taste that Eric has or any one of my guests, and all of that can be found at the website, the500podcast.com. Email us, tell us if you think this is great, tell us if you think it sucks. You can just literally just say, fuck you, and that'll be good. 500podcast@gmail.com. Follow me at Josh Adam Myers on all social media. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or your favorite platform. But guys, listen to it on Spotify. That's our jam, dude. Listen to this album on everything. Spotify. Follow my staff at Avery Funny, at DJ Morty Coyle, at JT Podcast Exec, at Badass Wizard, and at Real Matt Pinfield. Now, We just listened to the Drifters from 1968. Here is some new music from our music director, Matt Pinfield. He chose for us this week, The Common Heart. They're an 8-piece band from Pittsburgh. Their sound is a blend of old soul and rock, and they cite both the Drifters and Otis Redding as an influence. They have shared the stage with everyone from Gary Clark Jr. to Willie Nelson, and their new song, Do Right, would be relevant in any era of rock and soul. Listen to The Common Heart on Spotify and check out the link on our website, the500podcast.com. Now, if you want your music featured on the 500 website, please send it to 500podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you put the album and the artist that influenced you in the subject line. Next week is Elton John week as we go through his 1970 album Tumbleweed Connection. So you've got some homework to do. Make sure you listen to it on Spotify. Stay fleecy.